Lovely.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second session with Christine. First, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of all the different beautiful lands that we live and work on, and I'd like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and to all our elders past, present, and to any First Nations people joining us today. So thank you, Christine, for running a second session with us.
Yes, this is going to be fun because it's all about school leavers, how that they can leave school and step into the big world of new careers, or even if it's a part-time job. So I'm looking forward to having this discussion with you, Shae.
So we all know that getting our first job is really, really daunting. I think I got my first job at the age of 15 at a shopping plaza, and I was working at Wendy's, and I remember the lady made me hand calculate sums, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to do this? And I was so terrified, and gosh, it was such a long time now, but I still remember that exact question. And, you know, by 16, we generally got a part-time job, and then by, 18, we're transitioning into some bigger role. And then if we go through TAFE or university, then having that graduate position is such an exciting first step. But we also know that if we're dyslexic, these challenges can pop up like having to hand do maths in a job interview. I don't think you'd ever be asked to do that now. And so today we wanted to talk about the B.A.N.K tool and how it can help us as dyslexic when we're going into the workplace in better understanding not just ourselves and those that work around us and with us. And so Christine's here to talk to us about that today, in case you didn't see our first episode last week. So Christine, can you talk to us a little bit about B.A.N.K and how it's really useful for young people that are transitioning out of school into a job, or still at school but going into a part-time job?
It's, it's actually handy for every single person, even if they're at school or they're in the workplace, for parents, for everyone. B.A.N.K is a reverse engineered personality profiling system. While we say it's reverse engineered, it is different to all of the other personality profiling out there, because we very quickly find out who we are, but we learn to speak the language of everybody around us. And this is why it's so relevant for young people going into the workplace, because one of the biggest problems that they will have is interacting with other people, difficult clients, customers, other, bosses, and understanding how to actually communicate effectively with them and not take offense to everything, because it's not you most of the time. The whole thing, it's me. It really is that other person who you never know what type of day they're having, but they turn up in a store or somewhere, and it can be a very unpleasant interaction unless you know how to deal with them.
And I think as a young person, it's all about us. I don't know, actually.
Totally. I mean, I don't
remember
having these conversations, Shae, when I had my first job was as a trainee ballroom dance teacher, and I was really young. And I used to have to teach people how to dance. So it was quite funny, but you learned how to communicate with people. But the skills just weren't there to be taught, and now they are, and that's wonderful. So parents can help their children transition. It can be also career counsellors at school can actually help them through the process if they know their values and their personalities. It's not a matter of being shy or extroverted or anything like that. It's just understanding everybody around you.
And I think when we go into our first job, there's so much anxiety about making sure we do it right, and building those collegial relationships with people. And I think when we come in with dyslexia, sometimes we might be feeling anxious or shy or nervous that, they may not understand we're dyslexic, or we may not feel safe to disclose. So how can the bank tool kind of make us feel a little bit more comfortable in disclosing or not disclosing, either way, but how we can build those strong working relationships from a young age, because it's so important as we progress through our careers.
It really is. It's about being really aware of your surroundings and the people that you're dealing with and preparing. I know most people don't like to prepare, especially young people. Being spontaneous is really important. But sometimes if you are going for an interview, to know a little bit about the people that you're going to be interviewed by. Quite often you won't get a name, but maybe you could do a little research, get a mentor or somebody who can help you do a little bit of research into the company that you're going to go and work for. Therefore, when you walk in, you have an understanding of the business. And you can have a little bit of a conversation, even if you're a really shy person. If you have a couple of key points that you can talk about, that would be wonderful. And then understanding who you are. And if you are a nurturer, explain to the people, I love working in teams. I love doing all of this. Or if you're a blueprint, I love the processes. I love putting in place processes and following the rules and regulations. So this is why our B.A.N.K methodology helps a lot of people going into the workplace, changing jobs, all of that.
And so can you explain to us a little bit about, two questions. One is the different values that people can have. And then also, how do we, if we're going to prepare for a job interview, how do we actually get to know other people's personalities using the tools? So I think two different questions.
Yeah, they are two different questions. We do have technology, but of course you have to subscribe to the technology, being the AI. We can actually, for all of those in business, we can actually decipher and decode anyone on LinkedIn with a click of a button. And we can actually get their code and then actually prepare our correspondence and communication accordingly. But the B.A.N.K is the 4 codes. So because you may not have seen our previous one, I want to show them here. There are 4 cards. One, I've got a green screen, so I'll hold that one up. But the first one is the blueprint. So you can see the values of the blueprint. It's stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and tradition. So of the blueprint, we actually say that these people love to work inside the box. They love to have structure. Now, there's a lot of people who will be saying right now, that is definitely not me. Or someone will say, I love it. Why does my family not understand? If they're more organized, the world can be a better place. So this is a very interesting employee. And if you have these values, that will be one of your 4 codes. It could even be your first code, because you are all 4. The second letter in the acronym of B.A.N.K is action. So action is freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, and image. So these are the people who say, what box? There is no box. Who says there's a box? The blueprints say there's a box. So the next one is the nurturer. So the nurturer, their values are relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. So we always say of the nurturer that they recycle the box, because they're very, very caring. They will give you the shirt off their back. And then the final one is the knowledge one, which I don't think I'm going to have to read out, because I'm going to disappear, maybe if I hold it. So knowledge is the last one. It's the last letter of the acronym B.A.N.K. And the values are learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development. Thank you. You don't have the green screen. Maybe you could hold that.
I think I'm back to front and upside down.
Universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture. So we are actually all 4 of them. And, you usually look at the first 2 if you're an action and a nurturer. So you like to do things fast, but you really care about everyone around you. You're a blueprint action. You like to do everything fast and usually your way, because you like the structure and the systems. And then you've got the knowledge and the blueprint. You love everything about science and research and tools and all of that. and you love putting the processes in place. So we are a combination of all of them. And people often say, who's the best employee? I always say all of them. Every one of these codes are of value. And I think that's the wonderful thing for people with dyslexia, because dyslexia is another layer on top of this. So if you understand yourself and really understand your values, and your values are good, you know, that you're put on this earth for a reason. Your values are good. They stand. We do not want you to change your code or your values. It's now how you communicate with everybody else out there. If a boss is a high blueprint, or, you know, that perhaps they are this person, they're a blueprint action. So they like to control everything, and they like everything done yesterday, their way. You know, if you know that that's your boss, you can handle that person a whole lot better. So you can be prepared when you go to work. Oh, so I know that this is going to happen today. I know what to do when that happens. It's all about understanding everybody around you and sort of diffusing all those difficult situations that can occur.
And I think that's really important, because as a dyslexic, we can, you know, if we can do some of that pre-planning to help us manage during the day, then that can help reduce some of our anxiety and stress we may feel, because we're not put under so much pressure. If we're able to do a bit more of that pre-planning beforehand, we can manage the situations in a more constructive way. Because what I find is that we go into the workplace and we're already coming in with anxiety and stress of, am I going to get found out, or am I going to meet the demands of what I need to do at work today? How am I going to fit it all in? And I think, you know, planning is such a key tool in helping us to manage and reduce some of that stress and anxiety. And I think that's why the B.A.N.K is really valuable, because it's enabling us to do some of that forward thinking before we're working with our team, or when we're working in our team, we've got a better understanding of what the needs are, which then helps us. And I think as a young person going into the workplace, that's a really, really important strategy, is that planning out of what we're doing.
And it's really important to understand yourself too, Shae, because a lot of people might be procrastinators. That's in their code. And the reason, like a high action person, if somebody comes up and says, this must be done right now, they're high action. Why aren't they doing it? That they really don't care about it. So we have to be aware that that's in our code. We're here to get paid to do a job, not to decide what we're going to do and not do. That's part of the job, part of the job description. So therefore, we have to understand that there are certain processes that we need to go through. We understand that we don't like some of those things, but that is life, isn't it? So that's what we're going to say to everybody. You know, and unfortunately, being new people to the workforce, you're going to start at the bottom. You're going to be in there at the bottom jobs, learning and working your way up. And that's how you learn absolutely everything. And hopefully you have a wonderful mentor. One thing I really want to suggest all the new people out in the workforce, even if it's a little part-time babysitting job, get a mentor, get someone you can speak to about situations. That even if you're doing a paper round, have someone you can speak to, a babysitting job. You know, I have this family, and what would you do in this situation when the child does this? Have people you speak to, and always have mentors and people who can help you.
That's such an important point, because as we progress, you know, we don't do things in silos ever. We're either in a team, or we're always in a team, really, unless you're a sole business owner, and even then you're pulling people in to work with you. So, but, you know, I think that having a mentor from a young age is so important, especially when we're dyslexic, because we've got that added layer of complexity sometimes. Sometimes we're going into a job and we're able to manage it really, really well. But it's such an important component of growing as an individual, I think, and growing in our professions, is to have a mentor or a coach, someone that can help, that's a third party, to give you that feedback in a positive, supportive environment where you can bounce ideas off each other and learn, because we're constantly learning.
Yes. And I think, you know, some other advice for the new people out in the workforce is, have a look and see what type of work you want to do. Really understand your values and what's important to you. A lot of you might think, oh, just go and get any job. But you really, if there are a lot of jobs out there, choose something that's going to be something you're going to enjoy, and don't don't force yourself. If you have to just get a job, get it, but understand why you're there and make the most of it while you're in that position. You just need a little bit more structure with the add-on, that extra layer of having dyslexia. It will put more pressure on you, but hopefully if you do use something like the B.A.N.K methodology, you'll understand yourself a whole lot more and you will see yourself in a much brighter light.
Yes, I think that's another really good point about really understanding the jobs you're going into, because I wasn't diagnosed till 27, as most people would know. So, and I went into, and I still continue to go into careers that roles that require a lot of writing, and that causes me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. So I think asking those questions around, because dyslexics are really good at being self-aware of what we can and can't do. Like, we build that knowledge very quickly from primary school. We learn because we're different from other people. And so I think understanding, and this tool can really help us have a deeper understanding of our values, but also then enable us to really work through what we're good at and what we need help with when we're going into a job, and working to our strengths when we're looking for those jobs, so that we're not constantly worrying about our dyslexia because we're in an environment where it's not going to impact, or we've got our strategies to reduce it. And this tool is another way to help us in doing that.
Absolutely. And I know I've done a lot of mentoring with people going out into jobs and using the B.A.N.K methodology, and really helped a lot of them understand. There's one young man I remember who wanted to go into a science field, but he didn't really like people, and everyone was pushing him one way, which was very exposed to the general public. And once I analysed him, I said, wow, you should really go into this field, but I can see you really don't like being up front, being that front of the house person, that you're a person who is a scientist and you should be doing a lot of research. And he said, that's me. Nobody understands that. That's who I want to be. So it's really important that you really dig deep and work out what you want to do, because you don't want to be 30, 40, whatever age, and miserable with your choices in life. You want to make sure that you're really striving in the right direction for, your own well-being.
Which is hard, because the young people that are coming through, it sounds like they're doing a lot of job changing and career transitioning quite more frequently than like my parents, as an example. And even like I have quite a broad career because I've worked in a number of different roles. So I think being able to help reduce some of that job shifting, if we know what we really want, then that can help in life in general. Yes. Because what I found, sorry, you go, Christine.
Oh, no, you finish. Sorry, I'll go straight after you.
Well, what I found was, because I went into speech pathology and I really didn't have a good understanding, I just wanted to help people, which makes sense because I'm a yellow knowledge first, nurturer and nurturer first. So that made sense. I've always wanted to help people, but I didn't really understand the requirements. And so that's led me on such a unique journey in my career. So I think when we're young and we're able to have a good understanding of ourselves and the jobs we want to go into, that helps mitigate some of that.
And I think that's a really good example, because I think your last is blueprint, isn't it? There's a lot of processes with being a speech therapist.
Yes.
So I know people who have been engineers, and yet their knowledge was last, and they were miserable, so they had to change jobs. So it's, we go to school, we go into an institution for 12, sometimes 15 years. And you're supposed to come out the other end knowing what you want to do. But in fact, you haven't even been exposed. You haven't scratched the surface of the opportunities of the jobs out there. And right as we speak right now, tomorrow there'll be a new job invented that we've never heard of. Someone told me this 20 years ago, and I think of some of the jobs that I see now, and yes, it's absolutely true. So it's not the university that we went to in my age, where you had set careers you would go down. Now people are going to university and they're changing all the time. They do 2 units, go, well, this isn't for me, I'm changing over here. There is a lot of opportunity there. But it's really good if you can really make sure and speak to your parents, your career counselors, speak to your mentors, and really make sure that you're on track. Speak with Shae, have a session with Shae. Let her work out your values so she can get you on track. and make sure that you're heading in the right direction.
Because we know that as dyslexics, we have a unique set of skills sometimes that, as we move into this world of automation that we've been talking about, Christine, some of those dyslexic traits that we have around being quite empathic and being able to be really good problem solvers and creativity, and I can't see in 3D, but there's a lot of dyslexics say they can. So some of these skills are going to be really, really needed as we transition into this new era. And I think by having an understanding of our values helps us look at those kind of skills that are going to be needed more and more in the workplace as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, is there anything else? We're keeping to time so well today, Christine.
Well, I think if anyone wants to add any questions onto your chat in Facebook, or you're going to be putting this on YouTube, we can answer the questions there. But I would recommend that everybody get on Shae's Crack Your Code, find out who you are. Also, kids, find out who your family is, and then you can work with mum and dad and grandma and granddad, brothers and sisters a little bit better. You can understand everybody around you. And I'll tell you a little secret. One of our trainers in the US taught her daughter the B.A.N.K methodology, and she was struggling at school. So she coded all of her teachers, and she worked out that the teachers she really liked were very similar codes to her, and the ones she didn't like were totally different. And she learned that the blueprint teacher never to ask for an extension on an assignment, always be in the classroom 5 minutes early. And she just learned all these little tricks that you will learn when you go into the workforce. Don't be late for work, because if you've got a blueprint boss, they're not going to like you. And her grades went up because she was actually just respecting the people and understanding their values, and doing little things like not asking for extensions, being on time, being very concise with her questioning in the class, and being very respectful. So there's a few little tips there.
And it is so helpful when you've got a boss, because I know one of my bosses would have been definitely very, very high blueprint, so much so that she hated everyone being late for meetings. And once she was late, so she made the administrator go and change all the clocks to match the time that she'd arrived, because she said the clocks must have been out. It could not have been her, because she was always on time. So it's interesting how far some people will go to fit within their blueprint value.
Yeah, so the blueprints will always be early. So if you beat a blueprint to a meeting, you can, if they're 20 minutes earlier, so you're 25 minutes early, they will apologize for being late.
I've never heard of anyone going and changing all the clocks, though, to make sure that they're within their time frame.
Isn't it?
That is extreme. She was extreme, to be honest. I think these are a really good guide, but then sometimes people are going to be quite far out these as a guide and a tool.
Yes. And Shae, have you put your link that people,
yes,
it's free.
I just put it in there right now for everyone while we're doing the Facebook Live.
Wonderful. So you get a very long, lengthy report on how you should communicate with other people and how you want to be communicated to. Really worthwhile to read, and you will find out things about yourself you didn't know. And a lot of pennies will drop, as they say, the old saying, the pennies will drop and you'll realize, that's why I do those things, is because it's not in my values in certain circumstances. So yeah, please go ahead and with Shae's free link, click on that.
Well, thank you so much, Christine, for that. I think we're just within time. So thank you, everyone, for watching today. And we've got one more episode this afternoon, supporting employees and employers with dyslexia, and employers that aren't dyslexic. Sorry, I need some lunch. But thank you so much, Christine, for joining me again and for helping us talk about the different tools that are available to support dyslexics. So have a great few hours, and I look forward to catching up with you later this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shae. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, again. We'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.